Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. He's Drew Martin, and today is Thursday afternoon, May 11th. This, of course, is the show we do every Thursday where we take a look ahead to the upcoming series from the upcoming weekend and where we update my record. And thank the Lord, I can throw this record up there. And I did actually eat a loss today already with Tampa Bay on the -1 line, but I'm still up a few units, still up a few percentage points in ROI, and that's a big relief to me. And just, the Tampa Bay, it just shows you, especially in baseball, beating the closing line, long term it's nice, but in any individual game, it don't mean shit. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's always better to be on the right side of the move. And hey, you're in the green this far, Pete. So
that's right. That's absolutely right. I beat the Tampa Bay line move by about 15 cents. And I'm eating a nice unit of loss there. So, all right, let's move on. A lot of interesting series coming up this weekend, Drew Martin. The first one that jumps out at me is Philly-Washington. Now, Washington, as we talked about kind of earlier today, Washington, they've been double-digit profitability. They're not quite in the top 5, but I see them as just one of these teams like Boston was a few years ago with just an offense that can save them in any game, bail them out of any situation, or put them up by, 8 runs in the 5th inning or whatever. That's a team that is going to be, I think, profitable going forward, even though they will be overvalued. And they're at home against Philly, double-digit unprofitable team, particularly bad on the road. What do you think? Washington a big favorite and just will still have betting value anyway?
I do. I agree with you. But, the Washington bullpen, like we talked about earlier, it does scare me. But Friday night they got Rourke going against Philadelphia. What's it, Nick Pivetta?
Yeah, Nick Pivetta, yeah.
So, and like your numbers said, the top 3 producers in May, the bottom 3, excuse me, were all from the NL East, and the Phillies were one of them. So, yeah, I'm not looking to back the Phillies going forward in the near future. Yeah,
I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, it's almost in a series like this with Washington against Philadelphia, the starting pitching is almost secondary. Obviously, Rourke is nice. I'd almost rather have a lesser starting pitcher, because if a good starting pitcher, you're going to get, like with Scherzer going against Hellickson. I mean, what's that line going to be? It's going to be -2 something, right?
Yeah, and I like Rourke because he's not overpowering.
Right.
The markets aren't all over him, and you still get that same lineup with the Washington strong lineup. So, and what, he has 5 pitches, I believe, and they're all pretty plus price pitches.
Yes,
so
and he's one of these guys who gives you he's reliable. You know what I mean? So, solid 6 innings, 2 runs, sometimes a little bit better, sometimes a little bit worse. All right, Drew Martin. Now I'm gonna, with the guests on every show I do, I like to ask them first if I can ask them the tough questions, and if you don't want to answer this question, you can beg off of it. Okay?
All right.
The Cubs continue to be overvalued, -16% ROI as we sit talking right now. Drew Martin, they're going to be going on the road against the St. Louis, a team that's not necessarily overwhelming, but they've been modestly profitable. What do you think? Are the Cubs going to continue to be a double-digit negative ROI team going forward? That's a tough question, Drew Martin. You can beg off it if you want.
Well, I will say this.
Okay.
Let me answer it with
okay.
I actually like St. Louis at home in this series. We got Butler versus Leak, Lester versus Waka, Arrieta versus Carlos Martinez. I think St. Louis has the pitching advantages. I didn't see a series price out at Bookmaker yet. We were talking about that earlier. So when it does come out, I'm guessing St. Louis, you'll get a plus price at home.
Yeah.
And I would be all over that. And I'll be personally betting it. I haven't seen it yet. I just like the pitching matchups, and the Cardinals' bats are hot. So I'm going to keep riding them. Yeah,
and thanks for giving an opinion on that. If someone asked me that question, I would say I really don't know. I would say I don't know. It's tough to figure out what to expect from the Cubs going forward. Clearly, there's massive talent on that team that at some point is going to be good. I mean, if you remember last year, I think right before the All-Star break or around the All-Star break, the Cubs went through a stretch where they were just a terrible bet. They lost a bunch of games in a row, but before that and after that, they were just an automatic play on. So maybe that's going to start to happen at some point with the Cubs going forward.
Pete, that run line, the run line that they were on minus 1.5 run line, and I think they were up over 20 units to start last year. I mean, that was crazy. That was Fade City going into the All-Star break.
Yes, and then they around the All-Star break they went on a terrible run of losing, and then they picked it up again at a certain point. I forgot the exact date, but they became another bet on team. So I would look for the Cubs at some point to maybe become another auto play on run lines and stuff like that, exactly as you said. All right. I'd like to ask you another tough question.
Let's go.
All right. Baltimore right now, #1 in the ROI standings in baseball. KC is the 3rd worst in the ROI standings in baseball, and Baltimore's going into KC. Now, KC's picked it up a little bit in May. They've also been much less bad at home. I'm thinking playing at Casey might hurt Baltimore a little bit here. I'm thinking maybe, and Baltimore's also been profitable on the road, but much less profitable on the road than at home. I'm thinking maybe Casey might have some sneaky value here, or do you think they just suck and they're the American League version of San Francisco, and you're either going to bet against them or pass?
This is a tough one. I mean, I like the kind of being at home for Kansas City in the pitcher's park, getting the Orioles lineup outside of Camden Yards. But at the same time, with Baltimore, you have a much, much better bullpen. Even without the closer there, I still think that they're a top bullpen there, and I'm not going to be looking to go against them.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one, though, because Duffy might be in for a nice start. Baltimore's a little bit worse against lefties. And then Carnes, a guy who doesn't have a name and you assume as being a subpar pitcher, actually been getting some nice results. Might have another decent 6-inning start here. And so, that might be a tricky one. Thanks for answering that one. Again, that's a tough one, Drew Martin. But, I'm thinking that Casey, I'm going to be very wary of betting being too quick to bet on Baltimore in that series for sure. All right, what's caught your eye from these series you'd like to bring up?
Well, I got a couple. Let's see. New York Mets, Milwaukee, Friday night. Matt Harvey back. We all know his story. Cinco de Mayo out until the wee hours, and supposedly a lot of alcohol and possibly other things involved.
Wasn't it over a girl? Was that what it was? I think I read that. Was that, or
was it really?
I think it was. I might be wrong about it. I mean, like when I'm doing research for my handicapping, all I need to know is that something fucked up happened, and then I'm good. So I don't go into the details. But I think when I was doing my research into it, it was over a girl or something. Like he was upset that.
See, I just read that he said he had a migraine, missed the game, and then it turns out he was out in the wee hours of New York for celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Just kind of.
The point is, from a handicap perspective, there's no question what happened was he had a fucked up period. How does that affect him here?
A guy with arm trouble, a guy that's 30 years old,
and
just
having
going
control
out.
issues.
Yeah, but he's had arm issues, and I like the extra rest. So a guy that can be overpowering at times, I'm going to look to back him, especially going against Garza. Yeah, I know that it can be a mind game, but I think he's got it. So
I think we can respectfully agree to disagree here. Who knows? We'll see what the line is for that one. But I'm going to be thinking to take Milwaukee here just because he was having control issues before all this stuff, and this is not an easy assignment. If he was going into San Diego, it would be a different situation. But he's having this drama, having control issues before the drama happened, and now he's going into Milwaukee. I don't know. That's a tough spot as far as just for my eyes. We shall see, though. We shall see. What else has caught your eye?
I wrote a couple down here. We got Atlanta, Miami. Friday we got Fulte versus Urena.
Yes.
Then we got Saturday Tehran versus Volquez, and then Sunday Dickey versus to be announced. So two of the three I think really favor the Braves. I didn't see a series price on this one. I don't know why they're waiting on some. I get you had an opinion that maybe you can go into that, but Bookmaker didn't have this one out as well.
Yeah, they won't have it out. If they don't have it out already, they won't have it out. Yeah, so
but before the first pitch, I'm not big into series betting, but
they only have some of the series out. They don't put all of the series prices out for all the series. But I'm agreeing with you. Obviously, as we talked about actually in the Q&A, I believe today, Atlanta, Miami, the two worst teams in terms of ROI in May. Small sample size, but clearly they're having issues. And Volquez in particular, I mean, he was getting hit hard, major control issues, and coming off of a thumb issue. Now on the other side, Tehran has also been getting hit a little bit, not as bad as Volquez. So maybe that's a spot for the over. And again, it depends on what the prices are. But I'm agreeing with you. If we're seeing some nice underdog lines with Atlanta, this might be a series take Atlanta. What do you think?
Volquez is all over the place.
Yeah.
And his numbers I don't even think are showing it, because I've seen a few of his starts, and he'll just have line drives right at people. So I think he's actually buoyed by some of those numbers, and he's worse than the numbers are actually showing.
And some horrific control issues having, and a thumb issue. Yes. So, and as I've said, I think that Atlanta might have, I'm not saying they're a great offense, but I think they might be a little bit better than people are giving them credit for. So in general, I'm agreeing with you. I'm vaguely looking for maybe overs and vaguely looking for maybe value with Atlanta when those lines come out. All right. What else has caught your eye, Drew Martin?
Let's see. We got the New York, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, St. Louis we went over. All right, the big one, Houston, New York Yankees. Four-game series, so remember that Sunday night game won't be counted in the series bet. But one thing to take away from this series is Houston heads to Miami on Monday We've seen it before. These late night Sunday night games, it's a tough spot for that team the next day. Miami is going to be nothing like New York as far as atmosphere goes. It's going to be not a lot of people there. So Houston may not be showing up to that one. Look to fade against Miami on Monday. I know that's not the weekend, and we're here to talk the weekend.
Sure.
It's into Miami, so I'll be on Miami on Monday night.
All right. No, sounds good. Anything in the future, just don't take the cheap way out and make predictions about what happened yesterday. Anything in the future is fair game, Drew Martin.
I mean,
a lot of guys do that.
Fuck the Houston Yankees series price. I'm going to Houston, Miami on Monday night.
That sounds good. A lot of guys do that. They're like, they tell you what they predicted on a game last night. I'm like, all right, don't do that. But anything in the future is fair game. All right, let me see what else has caught my eye. Oh, all right, here we go on Sunday. Julio Urias is making a start at Coors. I'll tell you what, Urias has obviously a lot of potential. He is the kind of guy who we're going to see some starts in the future from him where he's like throwing a no-hitter, but also like giving up 7 walks. He might in the future want to be one of these guys who who pitches a no-hitter that's not a shutout. You know what I mean? But going into Coors, I really don't trust him. And on the other side, Senzatella has been pretty effective at Coors. If his control issues continue in that start at Coors on Sunday, he might get that. That might be a spot to take the Colorado team total over and maybe just Colorado on the run line in that one, because Urias might really pay for his control issues on Sunday.
I agree with you. I mean, I think the Rockies lineup has struggled a little bit against lefties, but a young lefty in Coors Field, I'm never excited to back. So young pitchers in general in Coors, I look to go the other way. So I agree with you.
And then on Saturday, on the other side, Colorado is starting this guy Lyles, and he really should not be starting in the majors right now. He's going to be at home against a Dodgers team that hits righties. That might be the opposite of the Sunday game on Saturday. Lyles might get crushed by the Dodgers on Saturday, of course.
Is that Jordan Lyles back in the majors?
Yeah, and not really. I forgot exactly what the roster issues were that brought him up, but it was like they'd rather. I mean, Colorado's been having some injury issues with their staff in general, and if they hadn't been having those, he would definitely not be.
Yeah, and Pete, I was breaking down this one because I was actually looking to get on Colorado on the series price, but LA has Kershaw and Alex Wood going, right?
Yes.
So those two were the ones that kept me off of betting the Rockies.
And that's going to be tough because Kershaw is he already made a start at Coors, and it was fine. He gave up 3 home runs though in 6 innings, so it wasn't the greatest start ever. And he's going up against Chatwood, who again is a guy who's a little bit under the radar, but has shown that he sort of knows how to survive at Coors, and so and you're going to get a massive favorite line on the Dodgers for that one. So I think it might be tricky to that might be one of these, again, another spot where it might be actually a good idea to look to fade Kershaw depending on the line. What do you think about that?
I think he's pinned up against Chatwood, right?
Right.
If I remember right, Chatwood over his career kind of has reverse home run splits. He pitches better on the road.
I believe that I'd have to go check what the actual numbers are, but he's a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, and so that's why Colorado likes to have him as a starter. And my general sense of him, obviously, before making a call on it, I'd go into the numbers, but my general sense of him is he's a guy who is fairly decent at surviving in Coors in general.
Okay, yeah, I do like his changeup. He tends to when he has his sinker going, he's really good. And look, he's up to plus 180 right now. I know it's against Kershaw, but I'm definitely not laying $2 with the Dodgers in Coors. So.
Yeah, you might be right though. I'm trying to remember what the career. There's another guy who God, his name is escaping me, but another guy who was like not that good, but because of the way his style of pitching was, he was like less bad at Coors than other guys would be. Basically guys who get ground balls.
Jorge De La Rosa.
No, I'm thinking of it. There's a couple of them. One of them was definitely Cook. You remember that guy, Aaron Cook?
Yeah. I do.
Ground ball guy, and that's why they had him. So so we will see. I'm not sure that Kershaw is going to be a good play there as a huge favorite.
Pete, how about Porcello catching minus 170? The market's all over this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been getting decent results recently, though. Not necessarily lights out, but he's been getting okay results. And what is that series again? That is Boston and Tampa Bay. Right.
That one caught my eye because I was looking to get on Porcello. I thought he's another guy that I can remember 2 separate times he had a strike 3 missed call by the The next next pitch was a home run with runners on. So I look for those type of watching the game and looking to fade those type of numbers.
Sure.
And sure enough, the market's all over it. So that was just one I was pissed off
about.
Yeah.
It's just that Boston been a little bit, and Cobb is a guy who can be serviceable. Who can he's a guy who can at times get strikeouts, and at other times when he's not getting strikeouts, get a lot of grounders. So Cobb is a guy in general I'm never too enthused to go against right now when he's in top form. But yeah, we shall see. All right, so this video is going on a little bit long, but I think we're giving good information. So let's just continue it. Let's just continue it on, and if people tell us to make him shorter in the future, we will do that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's interesting. What was I going to bring up here? Oh yeah, a few things that have caught my eye. Interesting. The Minnesota-Cleveland series is interesting just because of the starting pitching matchup. Irvin Santana. Big regression might have started in his last start. Cleveland hits righties well, so maybe Cleveland will be a good play here. And Tomlin is the opposite. He had his first good start of the season in his last start, so maybe we can expect another subpar start from Santana, and Cleveland to be a good bet on Friday. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I haven't dug into Tomlin much. I know he started off slow, but yeah, definitely looking to go against Santana and Minnesota in general. I mean, I know they have Sano, one of the best players in the game right now, but outside of him, that lineup, I kind of feel you can work your magic, especially veteran guys. I don't know if Tomlin fits that mold, but yeah, I'm looking to fade the Minnesota Twins. All
right, well, Minnesota is actually the second best team in baseball right now in terms of road ROI, small sample size, of course. But then another one that's interesting to me is the Sunday game, which is Santiago against Trevor Bauer, baby. Ooh. Trevor Bauer, huge hype, huge potential, and sometimes he did have some good starts, some nice starts and some nice runs. More often than not, though, he was a guy who had some crappy results. And
yeah, I'm looking to fade the Twins, not against guys like Trevor Bauer all over the place. More veteran types that can work their way around lineups.
Minnesota does have good numbers against righties. Bauer might get hit, and then Santiago on the other side been having some control issues, but still been very effective this year. And Cleveland struggles against lefties, so Sunday might be a good spot to take Minnesota. All right, I guess we can let's wrap this up right now, even though we could talk about every game, right, Drew Martin?
Yeah, let's right.
Sounds good. I hope that my picks for tonight wind up a positive overall, and of course, tune into the live show that we're going to do tomorrow morning, Friday morning at 10:30 Eastern time, where I'll give my official picks on the record, sticking my neck out for the Friday MLB card. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.